I'm going to ask the Justice Department, and I'm going to ask the president. I want to know about all of those right-wing organizations that he's connected with, who are training up in the hills somewhere and targeting, what communities they're going to attack.
This woman is insane. Maxine Waters was on MSNBC this weekend, and it was a joy. There's one thing in particular that she is most concerned about right now, and she demands a federal investigation. I'm not making this up. Hear it right from the horse's mouth. Oh, pardon me, Congresswoman, from the Congresswoman's mouth. That didn't mean to come out the way I said it.
Trump saying, if everything's honest, everything's above board, to his point of view, he'll gladly accept the results of the country. But if not.
Well, first of all, you can't trust anything that Donald Trump has to say. No matter if he loses, he's going to say that it was fraud. He still has not accepted what happened in the last presidential election. And so we have to be very concerned about a former president of the United States talking about attacking his own country, talking about perhaps a bloodbath, talking about perhaps there's going to be trouble. He said it in so many different ways. We should take him seriously. This man does not believe in the Constitution. He wants to be a dictator. This is a dangerous human being. And we have to know what our country is going to do to protect us from him.
All right. So our country needs to be protected from Donald Trump. Now, there's more from Maxine Waters, and I'm going to share it with you because it's really the part that's most insane. But this is the mindset, by the way, and this is why they're able with abandon so brazenly to twist criminal law to stop Donald Trump and put it behind bars, because they truly believe we have to do whatever it takes to be protected from this man. Remember, when they say that, what they really mean is to be protected from the people, the voters. See, if he's that horrible, if he's that terrible, you would think they couldn't wait to get to November because he's going to lose, right? This man is the worst. He's a criminal. He's a racist. He's a xenophobe. He's outrageous. He's a felon. He's this. He's that. He's in pocket of Vladimir Putin. If you can't win an election against a guy like that, what the hell, right? But see, they know they're lying. But they keep telling the lie over and over again, because if it were true that Donald Trump was that bad, then he would lose this November. But what their biggest fear is that he will win, and he only wins because you vote for him. So they're afraid of you. They're afraid of you. Can't say it enough. But this whole thing about accepting the election results, that's what this whole conversation started on, right? It was he's not going to, he's only saying that he'll accept the election results under certain conditions. Okay, well, this brings us to Tim Scott yesterday. At the same time that Maxine Waters was doing that, here's how Kristen Welker was grilling Tim Scott about, again, accepting the election results this November.
Not going to make it an issue.
Well, Senator, will you commit to accepting the election results of 2024? Bottom line.
Well, at the end of the day, the 47th president of the United States will be President Donald Trump, and I'm excited to get back to low inflation, low unemployment.
Wait, Senator, yes or no? Yes or no? Will you accept the election results of 2024 no matter who wins?
That is my statement.
But is it just yes or no? Will you accept the election results of 2024?
I look forward to President Trump being the 47th president. Kristen, you can ask him multiple times.
Senator, just a yes or no answer.
So the American people will make the decision.
But I don't hear you committing
for President Trump. That's clear.
I don't hear you committing to the election result.
This goes on for over a minute and a half, almost 2 minutes of Kristen Welker continuing to follow up and grilling in this way. And he said, listen, Trump's going to win, so it's a moot issue. Let's move on. But by the way, has Hillary Clinton ever accepted the results of 2016? Has Al Gore ever accepted the 2000 results, right? But set that aside for a second. Honestly, to me, the big issue here is Tim Scott. Republicans, and I mean every Republican, whether you're Trump, whether you're the running mate, whether you're a senator or running for Congress, they're going to treat you this way. They're going to do the same thing. Will you accept the results? Will you accept the results? And yeah, listen, I think there was a little delay on the satellite, so that's why it seemed a little halting that Tim Scott, who's usually a pretty effective communicator on television, but he kept dancing around that. Listen, there's an easy answer to this. There's a really easy answer to this, Republicans, and I'm going to give you free media advice. This is free media training. So all you comms directors out there who are watching, share this with your guy, okay? This is what you do. The question is that, will you commit right now to accept the election results no matter who wins? And the answer is, listen, as long as the Democrats don't cheat again, I'll gladly accept them. That's it. Yes, I will accept the results, provided the Democrats don't cheat. You wouldn't have me accept results if I know that people cheated, right? As long as no one cheats, yeah, sure, you betcha. Oh, well, and then the conversation, then they're going to push back. They say, well, there's no evidence of any cheating, and then you can explain. And then you can explain everything about the mail-in ballots and about how signatures weren't accepted and how ballots were accepted without signatures. Ballots were accepted without dates. Ballots were accepted without verifying signatures. Ballots were left without any sort of chain of custody, and they just showed up and people started counting them. You can talk about how Pennsylvania changed their rules with regard to drop-off ballots and mail-in ballots during the pandemic without taking it through the state legislature, which is constitutionally mandated. And it was just decided by the Secretary of State, which is a government-appointed position, not an elected position. The governor, the Democrat, put that person in charge, and they just changed the rules midstream in Pennsylvania. You can talk about all of those things instead of playing on the field that they want you to play on the defensive. Put them on the defensive and make them defend what happened in the 2020 elections. Oh, and by the way, you could add this to it as well. Listen, as long as we don't have to upend every known ballot security measure that we have utilized for the last couple hundred years in this country under the guise of pandemic social distancing, when there was literally no reason to have social distancing, that we've now discovered. The 6-foot rule was made up and nobody knows where it came from. If we didn't have social distancing, everyone could have gone and voted in person, and you wouldn't have had to invent the drop boxes and all the ubiquitous mail-in ballots that were pushed to people instead of people actually requesting mail-in votes. So yeah, if we don't do any of that crap and Democrats don't cheat again, then yes, I'll accept the election results. That's how you answer that question. Excuse me, I got a little excited there. Can we go back to Maxine Waters? Maxine Waters. She's a loony bin. Watch what she has to say next.
Well,
yes.
No,
Yeah.
I know you can keep
Yes.
you can keep going for
That's
this whole
right.
hour,
That's right.
Congresswoman, on
That's
that. But speaking of the Constitution, Trump says in that time interview that he would not seek to overturn or ignore the Constitution's prohibition on a third term. So the American people believe that. Do you believe that?
No, absolutely not. As I said, you can't believe anything that Donald Trump has to say. Donald Trump will do any and everything that he can possibly get away with. He does not at all support the Constitution of the United States of America. This is a man who we better be careful about. And I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask the Justice Department and I'm going to ask the president to tell us what they're going to do to protect this country against violence if he loses. I want to know about all of those right-wing organizations that he's connected with, who are training up in the hills somewhere and targeting, what communities they're going to attack. We need to know now, given that he's telling us that there's going to be violence if he loses. We need to know what his plan is and how we're going to be protected.
This woman is insane. I mean, honestly, the feverist of all fever dreams. What in God's name is she talking about?
I want to know about all of those right-wing organizations that he's connected with, who are training up in the hills somewhere and targeting, what communities they're going to attack. We need to know now.
They're training up in the hills. I would think before a congresswoman, a duly elected senior member of the United States Congress, would make an allegation that there are Trump supporters training up in the hills to commit violent acts if Trump doesn't win the election. I would think that they would. Can you name us the hill you're talking about? Is there at least a region that you can narrow it down to? What the hell are you talking about, madam? She's insane. But strangely, she's also a complete hypocrite. Because while she's making up and creating a fiction of people up in the hills training to inflict violence on innocent people should the election go the wrong way. Just a few years ago, she was literally encouraging her own mob of people to intimidate and assault people from the Trump administration.
Let's stay the course. Let's make sure we show up wherever we have to show up. And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
See, when you're a Democrat and you're a Marxist and you're on the left in this country, you don't need to hide in the hills for your insurrectionist training. You can be right there in the middle of a city street, and you can get on a very loud microphone and bellow into it, giving your marching orders to the angry mob. It's a beautiful thing when you're on the left in this country. And that woman, that ranting, insane woman, is now treated on MSNBC as some elder stateswoman, worthy of respect and contemplation for the jewels of wisdom that come out of her mouth. But the fact of the matter is, we have uncovered some video of some combat training that took place just last week in this country, not up in the hills anywhere. Well, I guess the hills of Westwood. It's a little hilly there in West Los Angeles on your way to Santa Monica. Yeah, in the compound of the encampment of pro-Hamas protesters, they were actually giving each other combat training, getting ready for the police, or who knows what they were getting ready for. But this is what happened. Somebody snuck into the encampment, and you'll see they get harassed because they didn't want this caught on video. So while Maxine Waters is finding her imaginary military-trained insurrectionists in some hill somewhere, this is literally happening in the city where she is a representative.
I guess we're going out the way we came in.
At the same time, though, we are also covering
Where's the
our most vital organs in our
towards the
body.
entrance, where the entrance is at.
Okay.
Batteries are actually over in the yellow tent behind you.
At your temples, your elbows will be tucked in at your wrists.
Yeah, right. Self-defense class.
Or trying to use from the side, you have some coverage. You'll never be fully covered.
Oh, I'm actually on my way out, so. I'm actually on my way out. What was that? Why not?
So to show that
For no phones during self-defense training.
Oh, you touching my phone, bro?
I'm sorry.
No, you're not sorry, bro. You touched my phone, bro. Hold on. Hey, you just touched my
I
phone.
told you, bro.
All right, no. He took
I
don't care. He touched my phone.
I'm very sorry.
Yeah. And
He on his way
Nah,
out.
he
He on his way out.
apologizing.
He on his way out.
Apologizing now. You just touched my phone, bro. You shouldn't be doing that. That's self-defense, not assault class, bro. You got to learn the difference. You should have learned that in kindergarten. Come on now. My third grader kid knows how to keep her hands to herself. You should know that too, bro. You throwing up the rock. Oh, you like Jay-Z, huh? You throwing up the rock. Yeah. Yeah, sorry about that. Didn't mean to run over your toes. So that's self-defense school right there.
Where's the tea? Where's the tea? That's I wanna keep this minimized.
Bro, touching me, bro. That's gonna be a problem. Bro, what is happening to this wheel?
Yep, they called it self-defense. It didn't look like self-defense, did it? All in a circle around their instructor, who did not look like a college student, under a giant Palestinian flag, showing them combat stances for hand-to-hand if necessary. That's what went on at UCLA. But meanwhile, Maxine Waters in Washington, D.C., very worried about all of the violent militants who are up in the hills somewhere training. And people wonder why our children are getting infiltrated and inculcated into these violent mobs with these horrific Marxist ideas. And well, I can only tell you that this starts very, very young. Again, Maxine Waters' big concern is some imaginary militia training in the hills. Meanwhile, in St. Louis, a Girl Scout troop at an event this weekend teaching the kids to chant anti-Israel, pro-Palestinian chants.
My seagulls older than you. Na 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 boo boo. My seagulls older than you. Free, free Palestine. Free, free Palestine.
The beginning of that chant was "My Cedo's older than you." That's grandfather, I guess, in Arabic. And the suggestion there is, we were here before you. This is our land. And then free, free Palestine. That's a 8-year-old girl who's being brainwashed in a Girl Scout troop at a Girl Scout event. Yeah, I don't need your Thin Mints and Do-si-dos, ladies. Next time they come knocking on my door, I'm going to tell them where they can put them. Now I know what you're saying. That's Maxine Waters. She's crazy. Maxine Waters doesn't really represent the mainstream of the Democrats in the House of Representatives. Maxine Waters is a Looney Tune. Larry, you're just grabbing from the low-hanging fruit. The Democrats in the House are way more reasonable than that. Okay, here's their leader, Hakeem Jeffries. This is Hakeem Jeffries' big message to voters at the end of his glowing 60 Minutes interview when confronted with the reality that the economy sucks.
Voters think the economy was better under President Trump.
The economy has dramatically improved.
Why don't voters believe it?
Voters understand that more needs to be done.
So let's get this straight. The economy is great, and if you think the economy sucks, it's your own fault. You're too stupid to recognize it. And then when Norah O'Donnell comes back and says, so they're just wrong, they aren't feeling as good as you want them to feel. Why is that? Oh, we have to do a better job. I don't know. Maybe it's me, but I think perhaps every single Democrat is a complete and total loser buffoon in the House of Representatives, from Hakeem Jeffries all the way down to Maxine Waters. And Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar is right there in between.